the community podcast exploring the intricacies of personal growth, mental health, and resilience in the face of life's challenges. Topics tailored for a global audience. Now, let's talk about it with your host, Bracy Goodwin.
Hey, good afternoon, good evening, good morning to wherever you are watching. Thank you again for joining in. If you are joining in for the first time, thank you again for joining in. My name is Bracy Goodwin, and I am the host of the Embrace It Community Podcast. Thank you all for just taking the time and join in. There are several ways that you can follow this, and I hope by now people who have shared the word or said something to somebody, how to follow this. Now, you may not be able to follow it or find it, the Embrace It Community Podcast, but you can go to my Facebook page and there's a link. There's on Instagram. It's on YouTube as well. And so it's the Embrace It Community Podcast at Gmail. Shoot me an email if you want some more information and how you can find me, but that's how you can reach me at the current time. So, but I'm just so happy to have this up and running because so much has been happening after I get off the air and just come down from it. I get phone calls right away as soon as I get off. And I've gotten so many messages of thank you so much. This has been a blessing to me. When I tell you the avenues that this has taken me down, I never would have imagined that I will have a following community all the way over in Pakistan. Now, that was a surprise to me, and I had an opportunity to speak to them this week as well. So I have followers. But the first thing I like to do, of course, when I start my show, I like to talk about suicide prevention. I'm a very big advocate on suicide prevention. On the bottom of the screen, you will see the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline number. That's available 24/7 days a week. That's available to you. Marcus, thank you so much for joining in, brother. I'm going to talk about you a little bit later about what I'm going to be having you do for me as well. We're going to do a good show, but I'm going to keep that a surprise, man, because it's going to be awesome. And so, but thank you. Suicide prevention. I am a big advocate. And I tell you that every time. I always take 2 or 3 minutes to talk about that before I get started here. Suicide prevention. I take it very serious. I've lost some friends and I've heard about people just deciding to use that avenue, but you don't have to. We care. We care about you. We love you. We want to see you be successful. There is hope. And there is a way out for whatever you got going on mentally. Let us help you. So please, suicide prevention, 988, 24 hours, 7 days a week. And they will guide you through some steps to get yourself better and to want to live and have life, but have it more abundantly. The chat room is open as well. But I just also want to remember and talk about, many of you may have seen the American Heart Association fundraiser that I have on my page. Thank you to those that have donated towards that. I want to thank you for your donation. I donated because I wanted to be the first one in. Andrell Perry and Felicia Foster, my co-worker, thank you so much for donating. I appreciate your support. I'm at $102. And my goal was $200 to raise for this fundraiser. And I'm really excited about it. I still got 5 days left. 5 days left. So if you want to donate to the American Heart Association, go on my page, or the link is going on in the ticker below. There is the link to that where you can make your donation, $2, $5, whatever you want. I'm not going to lock the doors and tell the ushers the whole. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to ask you for more than you can give. Just go ahead and give whatever your heart's desire to give. Help me reach my goal of $200. I'm almost there. All right. 99 and a half won't do. 98 won't do. I'm trying to make that 200. So I got $102. And so if you can help me get to my goal of $200, I would so appreciate you. All right, doing so. But remember, it's on my page, the American Heart Association fundraiser that I have going on. I need your help. Let's them see that we care as well. So help me out if you can. Another organization I want to make mention to, one of my uh, brothers in the church, Dr. John Proctor, made mention today about the RBC Dallas. RBC Dallas Community Communication aims to improve the economic and educational, social, physical, and environment conditions of the Black community. This Dr. Proctor stood up this morning and gave such a heartfelt word about those second chances that we give to those who anyone else would not give a second chance to. If you're coming out of incarceration and you just can't seem for a door to open, there's ways for you. So drop me a line in the chat if you want more information. If you don't get the information, we'll get it to you. My producer's on, and we'll make sure that we'll get this information over to you. But it's the RBCA Community Development Corporation. It's here in Dallas, but the headquarters, I did read on the website, the headquarters is out of California. So it's not just here. So it might be a help for you if you, no matter wherever you are. So we want to try to get you some help if you need it. But the RBC Dallas Community Development Corporation, they were here this morning and they really touched me. So I said, I want to make mention to them. I'm not getting any credit for this. I'm not getting paid for this, but it's just something that also impacts me about how God will give us a second chance, because we serve a God of a second chance as well. And so, hey, I've been there, but next week we're going to talk about it on my next podcast, man, about some of the things that we go through, men and women. So I'm not even going to mention it now, but I'm going to mention it at the end. But my brother Marcus is on, he's watching, and he's going to be my co-host next week, and we're going to have a good time. And I'll mention to you about what it's going to be called. So stay tuned, stay to the end. I want you to hear what this is going to be about. But like I said, welcome to the listeners of the Embrace It Community podcast. I want to thank you all for listening. I'm saying hello. Let me get it right. Over in Pakistan. Right now it is, what time is it now? It's 7 p.m. So it is now 7:45. It's 5 a.m. in the morning there. So they'll probably catch it on the replay, but there are some followers over in Pakistan that love God. And when they introduced themselves to me, and I was just like, I had no idea, but the Bible talks about how to reach the masses, men of every word, but there are believers over in Pakistan. And that opportunity for me to speak to them on last week was phenomenal. And they're sitting in a room. They just got a drum and they're singing their worship songs and everything like that. I didn't understand the words, but I felt the Spirit of God in that room. And they were worshiping like never, ever, ever before. So it was a great opportunity. Hello over in Dominican Republic. Buenos dias over there. I have followers over there. Nairobi, Kenya. Hello over there. Missouri. Hello to you as well. Yes, I am trying to learn these different languages. So understand, I'm taking myself to another level. And my bishop preached about this level up today. And man, it hit home because there's some things I'm doing about leveling up. And so that was what's going on within the community. So listen, let me give you a brief introduction before I bring on the co-host. She has joined me again this evening, AJ Perry. We're going to talk about her when she gets on as well, but I want to get all this out the way before I bring her on in a minute here. So this here podcast really is talking about dealing with failure and the journey to rise again, the journey, the ashes, all of that stuff that we carry in a bag of forever and ever. And sometimes we just got to figure out how to get rid of the ashes and rise again, level up. Okay, we have to figure out how to do this thing. And we always hear that commercial, help. I've fallen and I can't get up. There is help. So I'm going to bring into the on stage right now. Let me see if I can get her to come on in. She is here. Audrey Perry, Columbus, Ohio. Love you, Columbus, Ohio. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining tonight. I didn't know if I was going to see you. You had me worrying there. I was like, where are you at? Where you at? Glad you're here.
I'm here. I'm present. How are you?
I am well. I'm doing well. Tell the people who you are. Everybody, this is your first time. Somebody might be getting on here for the first time. Please tell them who you are and what you got going on.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I am AJ Perry,
Yes.
aka uh, evangelist, life coach, food catering service,
Yeah. Yeah. Good
minister.
food.
Um, just wearing a lot of hats right now, but it's so great to be on
So
the
glad you made it.
podcast.
Yeah.
It's great to be here. Great to be nowadays. It's good to be seen on the other side of the dirt. Um, Happy to be here this evening. Anyone looking for any of my ways to get in contact with me, I am on Facebook.
Yeah. It's being ticket.
Um,
I got you on the ticket down here. We got you covered. Producers got you covered down here.
okay, well,
Yeah,
great,
we ain't
great, great.
playing. We're
That's
not
good to
playing. Yeah, we
know.
got you down here. Rescue, revive, and
Good.
restore. Outreach ministry.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that is one of my babies. And nowadays it's time for every last one of them. Some folk need to be rescued,
Oh my
some need to
gosh.
be revived, and some need to be restored.
Right.
Um, because we are
Right.
just living in a time now where uh life is lifing.
Life
Life is
is,
lifing.
and I hate to keep going over this, Audrey, but I like using my own testimony about how I needed to be rescued, I needed to be revived, and I needed to be restored at a point in time in my life. And I leaned on you. You ain't know me from Adam. I mean, we saw each other in a couple of church settings, but for some reason, I reached out to you, and you missed my first reaching out, and then you reached out to me. And boy, when I was talking about falling and I can't get up and had ashes covered me from the stuff that I just felt that I couldn't get it right. I kept failing at marriages, relationships, and I was walking around. I never forget one day I got out of work and I'm having the heart palpitations and I couldn't breathe because I was
Wow.
so upset. And I said, why, God, why do I keep going through this here cycle of stuff? And Pastor Alita, I saw her one day standing on Broad Street downtown Columbus, Ohio. She said, Bracy, it's not you, it's the choices or the spirits you keep attracting to you. I was like, whoa. And that really, really woke me up about brushing off the ashes and trying to start that whole thing of getting up. And it was because of you that
Oh,
really listened, man, listen to my whining and murmuring and complaining. I was crying like a baby. And I think at one time you want to tell me, Bracy, shut up and
what's
stop.
that noise?
I was a mess. I was tore up. I really was.
I mean, and
Oh,
the only thing was I was able to relate um and not be judgmental because I had been through uh some of the similar things.
right.
So when a story is familiar to you, you have a little more passion when somebody else is going through that. Um and to be transparent, I had been through so many bad relationships myself till
Mm,
uh when I got divorced. It was like God told me I had to learn how to be a single woman.
wow.
We gonna be transparent. I had done failed and couldn't get back up. And he was like, you need to learn how to be a single woman because man does
Wow.
not validate you. I do.
See that part. Say that again. Man does not what?
Man does not validate you. God
Ah,
validates us, and we look for validation anywhere we can find it. And normally with men, it's in a woman, and with women,
yep,
it's in a man because
yep,
we want that attaboy. We want the love and attention of somebody, and we're not seeking God about it. We ain't asking God nothing about it. We just doing our own thing.
right.
And when we wind up at the end of that thing, it's still not satisfying. So it's not until we learn the lesson. We got children of Israel. You're going to
Mm.
keep going around here until you
Mm-hmm.
get the lesson.
Till we get the lesson right, because I think my thing was I was looking for a cheerleader to help me overcome my ashes because I just felt that I just kept failing and failing. So I was just wanting somebody to cheer me on. Okay, she looks good right there. I like the way she dressed. Oh, okay, let me just go ahead and bring her into my life. Didn't know nothing about her. Not one thing about her. Okay, there's one right there. We grew up together. We was in the same neighborhood for over 20, 40 years. Then I saw her 30 years later, and I'm thinking that was the same person I knew. And that person had more issues going on than I did. And I just couldn't understand that. So failure, understanding failure. And I got some points, and I shared it with you about understanding the failure, the difference of these life failures. And for each failure, we have to understand the difference: the career failure, relationship failure, personal goal failures. Because I know for me, when I was on my goal quest since, I was trying to be this police officer, and I wanted to be a police officer so bad. And I went from West Virginia, I went to California, I went to Long Island. I mean, everybody told me it wasn't my background, but it just wasn't my time, and the job wasn't for me, because every one of those that I went through said, you missed this. You were supposed to come back for this. Wait, you were supposed. And I was like, I just thought I was failing, but it was what I wanted to do, not what God was wanting me to do.
But the flip side of that is failure is not final.
Right.
It's not final.
Right.
Sometimes
I thought it was final.
Yeah, and we normally do, and we wind up beating ourselves up. Oh my God, I done failed again. I did this, I did that. But it's excuse me, like I said a few minutes ago, it's a lesson in everything we do. There's a lesson in it. So if you fail, you got to get back up. Get back. What's the song? Get back up again. You got to just keep going until you get it. And when you're going into any situation blindsided, like I said, not asking God, not to be super spiritual, but in these times, we need God's divine direction.
Yes.
God, give me a strategy on how to handle this. Show me which way to go. Right. Should I be doing it? But we don't think about that. We just go about our life, taking it for granted, just doing what we want to do. And as they say, how that's working out for you?
Right. How is that working out for you? Because, like I said, it's not what God has for us to do, is what we think we should be doing. And then I got a quote that I love. It's about failures and as a part of the human experience. And this quote is: accept what is, let go of what was, and have faith in what will be. And I said, wow, that was an eye opener to me. So now here I am, feeling a little bit better after you coach me through, I think, about a year or two of coaching. And you was like, accept it, let it go, and have faith on what it will be. And that's when I really started feeling better. So that talking to myself, talking to someone, and I'm going to mention that later, about having that community. We talked about having a community of someone who that you can lean on, trust on, that won't judge you or anything like that. And just having someone that will be there for you in the time what you need. So real stories of failure. Now I'm opening up in the chat, and I like getting the feedback in the chat so we can answer some questions that's coming through, and I'll read some to you when they come through here. My brother Marcus says, we're hitting it on point. We're telling the truth about failures and everything like that. But join in, if you are watching now, join in on the chat so we can answer some of your questions and concerns, also about some things that you may not or may have some questions about. So join in so we'll know and try to help you get the answer. And even if it's something you don't understand, whatever it is, join in, because the real life stories of failure, with being transparent. And like I said, this broadcast is for me to be transparent so I can help somebody else. Like I said, with the relationships, that's what I think what started it out with my relationships, my failed relationships. I just couldn't get it right. Then came the jobs. I started failing in the jobs areas, and I know what I was doing to fail in those jobs. I wasn't being that person who they really wanted me to be. Now I put that suit and tie on, and I went in there and talked the talk and walked the walk, but I wasn't able to produce what they wanted me to do it. They were giving me the tools, but I didn't pay attention and really grasp what they were telling me to do in the time frame that they were telling me to do it. And so the job career failure is another one for me because it gave me that low self-esteem. Why am I keeping what? You
Right
firing me, you
there.
let me go. Low self-esteem, my self-esteem wasn't even low. It went down the drain. Roto-Rooter couldn't even get that out. It was gone. My self-esteem
Wow.
was gone. And how did I come back from that? Nothing but God.
And that's the other thing. Why did I fail? What am I
Right.
doing to cause myself to fail? Number
Mm-hmm.
one question and answer, accountability. Take ownership for what you done.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And I had to do that. Yeah, I actually had to do that. It was like my low self-esteem went down to 2. Well, this was your fault. I had to take accountability for it. So here I am now in the ashes. Am I going to stay in the ashes, or am I going to get up and brush myself up off again and really try to get this thing going? Because I didn't want nobody to know. I was embarrassed. I was going through all of these things, working through my emotions. My emotions was all over here. I got a failed marriage, a failed job. I can't hold a job. And I get to about 6 months and they let me go. And I had to really make up in my mind. And I had a conversation with God. That's what I love about God. I can have real talk conversation with real talk. I said, listen here, Father. I'm coming to him like that. I was like, okay, you don't want me to, for some reason, you don't want me going into this career field. So you better give me something. I was talking like that. I was in my car. Never forget it. In Brooklyn, I was on the Bell Parkway. You better give me something that I'm going to love and I'm going to hold on to that I could be able to do without, doing, I'm sorry. But I was talking to him like that because I was tired of failing. I was tired of it. So it was me.
Yeah.
But I just had to have that conversation. What do you want me to do? What am I not doing? And that's that maturing.
And why do we act like it's God's fault? You allowed this to happen.
Right.
If you wouldn't, you're in charge of everything. Why you allow me to walk in there? You know it wasn't gonna work.
Love me. Right. You love me.
We always want to blame God because that's our favorite thing. Lord, if you would have just, and he probably looking at us, shaking his head like, this is all you.
Right.
This is all you. If you would let me do it, you would be all right. But no, I moved out the way so that you could go ahead, as they say, and do you. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so when we fall into these traps and these cycles.
There you go. You go.
We have created cycles. And it's not until we stop, look at the situation, look at ourselves, and say, what am I doing wrong?
Right.
What am I doing wrong?
Right.
What am I doing wrong? It's got to be, okay, I didn't blame Sally, Susie, John, the job, a family member. I didn't blame everybody. But God, and this is the worst thing to do because he'll show it to you. I always say this is it's not the worst prayer to pray, but baby, it's what? God, show me.
Ooh.
Show me me.
That part, when he just strips you downright out naked and shows you you're embarrassed of your own self. You be standing embarrassed of your own.
Get up.
Right. Oh man. Oh, I didn't know. Was I saying that? Was I really that person? Because what I had to do, and when realizing that how I really messed over my marriages that I had, the people who I know I wronged, my children's mother, I called them up and had that conversation. And I said to them, I'm sorry for being a fool. I'm sorry for doing this. And I did that. And some of the stuff that I was mentioning, they didn't even know I did. But God had me confess with my heart to get myself free and clean so that they can move on with their life and be free and clear to move on with their life. So I had to confess some stuff. I mean, some downright stuff. When you thought I was at work, I was at the hotel. And I'm sorry I did that. And out of that, going to that hotel came me this pregnancy, this child out of wedlock. Yeah, that's mine. I did. Oh, it was so embarrassing for me, but I had to do it. I did it. I was confessing and crying. I'll say, okay, God, I'm doing what you want me to do. And then I had to go through that season. So then moving on, because we already at almost at 30 minutes, but I had to, my pastor preached about this morning. When you're acknowledging, accepting the feelings without letting them define you, you can say, I am not ashamed of my past because I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Knowing that Jesus forgave me for being me, so I can forgive me. Now I can forgive me because he forgave me. We always going to have somebody, like they said, just always trying to say, oh, look at them now. They think they all that. I remember when Bracy was doing this, and I had that happen to me. He was married to such and such. He was married so many times. He did it, and they call themselves trying to really. And I was like, whatever. I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed because trust me, whoever you talking to, they already know. Because I got on my Embrace the Community podcast, and I've been transparent before you even said something. You still talking to your ex-husband? How could y'all be friends? And how could you say, y'all are okay because we have God? And if it wasn't for the grace of God, that's how we are friends. And that's how we're moving past all of this stuff that all these people are still stuck in and being messy and holding on to and doing. Oh my gosh. So, woo. So the importance of being vulnerable is and seeking support from others is the hardest thing. And it was the hardest thing for me to do, and doing wrong and asking for forgiveness. That was the hardest thing for me to do, but I did it. And so I want people on here to know that you can. Okay, Marcus, how can a person grow a relationship without knowing how to have one when in fact you were never shown how to have one with God? Oh, that's good. I'll read it again. How can a person grow a relationship without knowing how to have one when in fact you were never shown how to have one with God? You want to take that? You want to take that there? That's deep. That's deep. That's my man, Marcus, boy. Oh, I can't wait to get him on my show next week. That's my cat.
How can a person grow a relationship without knowing how to have one? There are a lot of people who did not grow up in two-parent households.
Right.
A lot of us were raised by single parents, so we never got to see the interaction of how a husband and wife should react and treat one another, the real kind, not that abusive stuff. I'm talking about back in the day when they stayed together for 30 and 40 years. I mean, you have that now, but the missing link was having that two-parent household. Yes. So it's kind of hard when you've not seen love. And what happens is we grow up, and a lot of us, I wanted to be Claire Cosby. Okay,
right.
What was their name?
The Huxtables.
We looked at the Huxtables, and they were the perfect family.
Right.
And so we were raised by either our grandparents, what was on television, what we saw, what we heard. So when we got into a relationship, our vision of love, compared to someone else's idea of love, tend to clash, because I ain't never really seen love. I'm just going off of, what they say it should be, or this feeling that I got. It's so much more to it than a feeling. So much more. And then you have another person, they're giving their idea of love. So the only way we can make it grow, and we weren't raised in church, get that Bible and pray to God. And ask God, give me the love that I should have. And it tells you step by step, because it tells you how you should honor, respect, and the man is to love his wife as Christ loved the church and be willing to die for her. It takes some time to get that kind of love.
Yes.
This is not something that you can go to the store and buy. Your therapist can't give it to you. It's really a God thing, because God is the only person who loves us unconditionally. Once you get a relationship with him,
Right.
and you can really move some stuff out the way and you offer yourself to him wholeheartedly, then he can teach you how to love. That's my
Yeah.
best answer.
Yeah. And the same with me, Marcus, because my grandmother loved the Lord, and that's who I cling to. But in my house with my parents, I had a stepfather, and my mother was there. She loved the Lord on Sundays, just being transparent. She loved the Lord on Sundays, but during the week, it was nothing but cussing, smoking, drinking that weed and smoking, doing all that stuff. And I was like kind of confused. So how can I learn how to have a relationship with God in that household? So I had to find a secret place in my house. I used to go in the basement and read scriptures. And that late at night, when we were told to go to bed, I had a little radio, and I transmit a radio 1600 on your AM dial in New York City. And I would listen to R.H. Shambach on the radio, quietly trying to get something in here to help me get this relationship with God. Oh my gosh, my relationship, that little bit of relationship I had was challenged every day, even in my job, to where I wanted to say, man, forget this. He ain't even helping me because I'm going through so much, but I didn't know this was all a part of the process. I never said this road was going to be easy. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for my yoke is, I didn't know none of that stuff. So like you said, we had to start reading the word and trying to get an understanding of the word. So that was good there. Well, a lot of people don't have that in their home. A lot of people don't have that foundation. Marcus, next week we're going to talk about, because I want to know, man, how you got your relationship with God so solid with everything you're going through. So I'm gonna get to that in a little bit, but thank you for that. And I'm trying to move on. There's so much
Can I
that
just
we
say
have.
this?
Yes.
And we're taught as children, our first song that we're taught is Yes, Jesus Loves
Loves
Me.
me.
Let's find out who Jesus is.
Got to find out who Jesus is,
You got
because
to find out who Jesus is. Who is this person that loves me that I don't know? And it says, because the Bible tell me so. Oh, so I need to go there to find out who Jesus is. That's where your relationship will begin, because he's going to tell
right.
you how much he loves you.
Right. Marcus also wants to know, when does a person know when they are walking in God's grace and mercy, or just saying that, was that just being lucky? How do you know the difference between being lucky and having the grace of God? So that's a good one. That's a good question too, because I think we talked about that, Marcus. I think we had that in service today, and I'm trying to find out how Bishop put that thing together. Oh my gosh, where is it? We were talking about realization versus actualization. Realization versus actualization. So realization is still in that struggle. That's the realization. So how do I know I'm walking in the will of God? And the actualization is you got to act as God is right there with you. He's already done it. You got to have, and that's that faith. You got to have that faith. That's the only way you're going to know. So it's not about being lucky. It's all about, wait a minute, I'm a child of God, so I don't have luck. I have grace, and I have mercy, and I have faith. So that's when I know luck. Woo, luck, man. That's like rolling the dice. Luck. No, I don't never think, woo, I was lucky for that. No, you were. Oh God, it was. Thank you for your grace and mercy that you didn't take me up. You didn't snuff me up out of here. Because I remember some stuff that I used to do where I should be dead and gone to this day. But by the grace of God, he has kept me. And I know it was him. It was no luck. It was no who I knew. It was God's hand of protection. When I'm talking about from being incarcerated, when I talk about from being put in jail, from my scamming and all of the stuff that I used to do back in the day. Yep, I'm being transparent. That's right. I did some stuff. And guess what? Y'all that are watching, y'all did some stuff too. So go ahead and say what you want to say. But the stuff that I know that God kept me from, is that's how I have to give him all the glory, all the honor, all the credit for everything that he has done. So the realization versus the actualization is something my bishop preached about that this morning. He preached about that thing. Boy, I'm trying to move through here because we're running over the 30 minutes that I want to be here. Anything you want to say before I try to squeeze this down to close out? Audrey, you want to talk about anything in particular on this subject about I've fallen and I can't get up? I mean, who are we calling? What button are we hitting when we say I fall? Help! I've fallen and I can't get up. Who are we talking to?
Just quickly. Well, I believe that's a cry out to God, because
yes,
when you fall, you're at your lowest point. And it's not until we actually, like I said, take accountability and say, God, I done fell so far off the horse, I can't even get up. That means you're at your lowest point. Okay, I need you to come in and rescue me because I can't do it anymore. And once we get to that point and we really ask God to come in and help us, like he was saying, look, luck didn't wake us up this morning. It was his grace and mercy. And now we're at the mercy of God when we're at our lowest point. And sometimes they say when you hit rock bottom, there's no place to go but up. But we've got to move self out the way because I done been there. Help. Literally, I've fallen and I can't get up.
Me too.
I broke a limb to the point where I could not move. And I was laying in the floor in an apartment building, saying, praying, waiting for somebody to open the door to see me.
Wow.
And I was laying there. When they opened the door, they were like, oh my God, are you okay? My very words was help. I've fallen and I can't get up.
My God.
I didn't even know I had broke my leg, snapped my fibula in half. I literally could not get up. That was, what's the feeling? So vulnerable.
Yeah.
And that's how we have to be with God. We have to be so vulnerable with him.
Right.
So transparent with God. He already know. He already knows.
Right.
He just waiting on us to have that vulnerable moment so he can come in, open that door and rescue us.
And here's the thing, like when you said you fall and you broke your leg, you didn't care how you looked.
I
you
did
just
not
needed
care.
help. And that's how we have to be. Like, I don't care how I look. I'm dirty, dusty, got ashes all on me, scarred up, tore up, suits tore up, and all of these scars and tissues. And I went to God and said, God, I need your help. Father, wrap me in your arms and father me. And I'll never forget that song came on when I was driving truck one year, and I was in North Carolina on a layover. I was sitting there because I didn't have that father figure, and that song came on the radio. Father, wrap me in your arms and father me. And I cried while that song was on. And I decided at that point, once again, to rededicate my life over to God, because trust me, there's some times you're going to have to go to that rededication.
Oh yeah.
You're going to have to, God, I'm sorry, I'm getting it right. Like the prodigal son, he left and he had to come on back home, and his father opened his arms and welcomed him in. And that's how the Father will do us. He'll welcome us in each and every time, not just once, not just twice. It's over and over and over again. He'll do it. So, practical advice on how to move forward. And this is my bishop preached on this, Philippians 3 and 13 and 14. It was 12 and 14, but I shortened it down to 13 and 14, where it reads, brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before. And how do we do that? I press towards the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Jesus Christ. And I asked somebody today, I said, what is that prize? What does that prize look like? It's just making it in. It ain't so much down here. It's making it in to see him. We are living to live again. We are living to live again. Forget about all this stuff that's going on in the White House and how foolishness they act in and having circus and all that stuff and pointing the finger at each other. And forget them. You better press towards the mark of the high calling and make sure that you are secured in him before anything else that's going on in this world. And I'm trying to move forward so we can close this up and wrap this up. We talked about community support, right? You got to have your support system in the community. It's important to have that community to help you through this thing. Share with listeners that can support you in groups with mentors. Got to click on to somebody. Audrey Perry, your site is there for these people. You are there for them. I'm here in Dallas, Texas. You're in Columbus, Ohio. Marcus, man, I'm gonna link up with this brother right here because I'm telling you, I've been watching him. I didn't even know his past, but I've been watching him, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna hook up with this brother because he is on fire for God, and where God has brought him through, I'm gonna hook up with him. And so you got to encourage people also to share their stories, because when you hold all this stuff in, it's not doing you any good. You're nothing but becoming bitter and ugly. I was going to say bitter, black, and ugly, but no, everybody ain't black, but we're bitter and ugly. So you got to have somebody that you can let this stuff go. So let me just say this as I come to a conclusion. Failure is natural, right? We said that, right? It's natural to fail. It is natural. You're going to fail, but you don't give up. Failure is a natural part of life and growth, period. And if you failed at something at 20 and you still trying to do it at 30 and you still failing at it, let it go. If you ain't learned nothing from 20 to not let it, whatever that is, I'm talking about a career or something like that you was doing, or let that go and see what else God has for you. So I'm inviting people to share this. I want to see people sharing this message. I hear a lot of feedback after I get off. Man, I love your show. Share it. And I'm on here for the community. I'm not on here for no other cause. I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm not asking people for $20. I'm not doing any of that. I'm on this because I have a desire for the people and I want to help them. So Audrey, thank you again. I want people to come on in, and I have some quotes that I want to leave with some people. There's some quotes, and this one is called the Other Serenity Prayer, and I think you may have heard this before. But the Other Serenity Prayer goes like this: God, grant me the serenity to stop beating myself up for not doing things perfectly, the courage to forgive myself because I'm working on doing better, and the wisdom to know that you already love me just the way I am. And that's by Eleanor Brown. And there's another one I have called Mirror. Mirror, mirror on the wall, I'll always get up after I fall. Whether I run, walk, or even crawl, I'll set my goals and achieve them all. And that's by Chris Butler there. So like I said, we just have to just keep getting up. And like I said, this episode was aimed to create a safe space for listeners to reflect on their own experiences. That's why I'm here with failure, and inspire you to get up, rise again, brush yourself off. We have people in the community that are there for you and that want to help you make it through this. They're here for you. So don't forget. Anything you want to say, Audrey, before we get ready to get out of here?
No, I'm good. God bless everybody. It's always a pleasure to be on the Embrace It podcast, community podcast. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Next week. Now, let me talk about next week before I go, because my brother Marcus is still on. Next week's episode, oh man, this is going to blow your mind. Incarceration to manifestation. Incarceration to manifestation. I'm going to have my boy Marcus on here. He's going to share about his testimony. I'm not even going to let it out the bag, because this brother got a testimony that will make you sit back and say, oh my God, like they sing on that song, oh my God. His testimony, then my other good friend out of New York, when I was a correction officer, New York State correction officer, I kept in touch with a few guys afterwards. They find me on social media. One of my inmates, one of my incarcerated brothers that was in, and we still stay in touch. He's going to join in as well. And I'm just excited about what God is doing for him. Ooh-wee, there's so much going on in the community. But like I said, thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for coming in. I appreciate the love. Once again, the American Heart Association Foundation that I'm trying to raise the $200 goal. I'm at $102 right now. So if you don't mind going on there, click on the site and for that link there and donate. Help me reach the $200 that I'm trying to reach. I got 5 days left to reach my goal. And if I don't reach it, all is well with my soul. I did this much, and that's why maybe next year I'll be able to get more participation in that. All right. But thank you all again for joining in. I appreciate you all. This has been good. Rescue, revive, and restore. Did I say that right? Yes.
Right. It's right.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yes.
next week, and then hopefully Audrey will be on this week and tune in on
I
her show
will.
too as well. But listen, thank y'all for joining in. Thank you so much, Audrey. I appreciate you. All right, until
No
we meet
problem.
again, just remember, like I always say, I love you because I love me first. Thank y'all.
Yes.
It's time to embrace it. The Thank you for listening to Embrace It, the community podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Follow the community podcast page on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Please like and share the podcast with your community circle.